I'm Diane Macedo. We're picking up coverage as the House votes on a nearly $2 trillion COVID-19 relief bill. That bill now officially has enough votes to pass. So let's bring in ABC News congressional correspondent Rachel Scott and ABC News political director Rick Klein, as well as ABC News senior national correspondent and my co-anchor on The Breakdown, Terry Moran, for more on all of this. Rachel, the vote is still happening, but it looks like this is going straight down party lines.
Yeah, so far it is. The only one Democrat, Jaron Golden of Maine, voted against this. He voted no last time as well, citing overall concerns about the price tag and size of the bill. But right now you have every single Republican voting against this $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. Democrats moving forward without them anyway. We know that Democrats have control in the House and in the Senate. They have vowed to be able to do this on their own. They laid the groundwork in order to do so. And this is a big legislative win for President Joe Biden. This is something that he promised on the campaign trail. It's day number 50 for him in office, and this bill, we are learning, will be heading to his desk by Friday. The White House says he plans to sign it by the end of the week. And then those $1,400 stimulus checks will start going out to Americans, they said, hopefully by the end of the month, Diane.
And looking at the count now, it does look like one Republican has now voted in favor. The bill needed 218 to pass. It's up to 220 now. Rachel, what's included in this final package?
Yeah, so you have those $1,400 stimulus checks, so that will be going out to most Americans. The White House estimates about 80% of Americans should be receiving those checks. If you earn $75,000 or less, you can expect to receive the full $1,400 stimulus check. Americans who make $80,000 will be getting a slightly smaller check. This also extends those federal unemployment benefits to $300 through September 6th. Those unemployment benefits were set to expire for millions of Americans in just 4 days. So this coming just the nick of time. It also includes billions more for vaccines, for testing, money for schools. Republicans are against this $1.9 trillion price tag. We had hours of debate today, and you heard from Republicans that said this is basically like the Wizard of Oz. You're not necessarily revealing what's behind the curtain. They say, yeah, sure, most Americans would want a $1,400 check, but they believe that most Americans would not like to learn that their children are going to have to pay back this money. They say it adds to the overall deficit here, but still Democrats did not get everything that they wanted in this bill. First included was that $15 an hour minimum wage hike. That had to be stripped from the Senate's version of the bill. It is now out, so Democrats are going to have to find another way to get that done, Diane.
And I'm hoping we can pull up the boards again, because just as I said, we got a Republican vote in favor of the bill. That vote went away, so it looks like someone probably just pressed the wrong button there. So far, not a single Republican has voted in favor of this bill. But again, Rick, it does have enough votes to pass. It needed 218. It's up to 220 now. This is a big win for President Biden, his first big legislative victory. How significant is this for him and his administration?
It's a huge win. Look, Joe Biden came to office knowing this was the challenge of a generation, the biggest thing that he can possibly see.
There's Nancy Pelosi banging the gavel, officially declaring the bill passed. Let's listen.
Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
There was House Speaker Nancy Pelosi banging the gavel there. Terry, well, first, Rick, I want you to finish your thought. Just how significant is this for President Biden?
This is, by some measures, the second biggest expenditure of federal funds in American history. It was the biggest priority that President Biden had. He knows that his presidency, the rest of it really won't matter if he can't get COVID under control. So this is a big bet on the American people, on his own administration in terms of rolling this out. And of course, politically, he put a whole lot into this effort. You see how difficult it was to get past the finish line, only getting Democrats to support it in the Senate, only getting Democrats to support it in the House. There may be political consequences to that, but right now, President Biden is the owner of a huge bill that would purport to do a whole lot of good for the American people. The question, of course, is what that looks like as it begins to roll out.
Yeah, and Terry, let's expand on that a little bit, because this is no doubt a victory for Joe Biden, but it is a partisan one, and this on a president who ran on the promise of working across the aisle. How much of an impact will that aspect of this have?
Because the Republicans have made a gamble here. They've made a gamble that their voters,
for the House of Communication,
increasingly working class, middle class, lower income Americans, that they won't feel the pragmatic, practical benefits of this program, of this giant bill, to the extent that they would soften their opinion of the Democrats and of President Biden in particular, that those cultural issues will continue to work. It's a risky gamble because of the sheer scale and the ambition. We talk about the numbers, but this is a vision for a different kind of government action in the economy. It is aimed for the first time in years, really, primarily at those middle class, working class, lower income Americans who stand to gain tremendous benefits, especially those with children. Almost a guaranteed income for families with children. 93% of American families covered by that. The Republicans betting against that their cultural issues will still carry the day for them. It is a gamble.
And as you pointed out, it's targeting the middle class. That was a little bit of a change in that the payments are more targeted. They became more targeted in the Senate, a concession not necessarily to Republicans, but to moderate Democrats in order to get them on board. So, Rachel, now that this hurdle is clear, what's next for Biden?
Yeah, well, I mean, he has a very big legislative agenda, things that he wants to get done. At the top of the list for a lot of Democrats, especially progressives, is that $15 an hour minimum wage hike. That is something that you saw progressives like Senator Bernie Sanders fighting to get in this bill. But you have moderates in the Senate that are opposed to it. You had Joe Manchin, Sinema, that did not want that included in this COVID relief package, that believe that it may hurt small businesses in the end. We know the White House is going to be focusing on that. But listen, I think first and foremost, they're going to try and sell this package to the American people. You have zero Republican support in Congress for this relief package. So now the White House says they're going to go on the road. You're going to see the First Lady. You're going to see the Vice President. You'll see President Joe Biden as well out communicating their message directly to Americans about how this benefits them, especially at the time where you have such a divide in Congress. You have no Republican support for this package in the House or in the Senate. And for President Joe Biden, he faces a significant challenge here because he ran on this message of unity. And so if he is not getting Republicans and Democrats to work together to accomplish some of these legislative priorities, there's a big question about what message that sends to the rest of the country.
Rick, could we see the Biden agenda try to adjust to that and put forth some legislation that can solicit some more bipartisan support?
Yeah, it's so interesting, Diane, because this is played out as a lot of liberals expected, maybe feared, but thought was inevitable, that Democrats would work alone here. It was Biden who came in with the pledge to do things differently and predicting that Republicans would come around. A lot of Democrats around town are going to say, told you so. This is what they expected anyway. I do think, though, they've got to choose the next battle carefully because this was a very difficult and highly partisan exercise. And this was to address COVID, the crisis of the year, the crisis perhaps of the century. The next one won't be as easy. And when you start to look at other issues, I think infrastructure looms as a possibility, much more likely than bringing consensus around immigration. And I do think that there's going to be a new priority put on bipartisanship of trying to get Republicans to work together because, Biden had to kind of choose between goals here. He thought it was more important to address COVID in the big way than to address the partisan divide and lower Republicans. Maybe he's right. It's a bet that he is making on his ability and his own administration to deliver and his ability of his administration to message on this. Just as Terry says, there's a gamble for Republicans. There's a gamble here for Democrats that this is worth whatever political price or whatever price there is to the deficit, to the long-term fiscal health of the country, maybe even the shorter-term economic health of the country, all of it being worth it. And I do think he's going to have to think what is next and start to think, how can I begin to change not just the substance, but also the tone of conversations in Washington.
All right. Rick Klein, Rachel Scott, Terry Moran, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we will have continuing updates right here on ABC News Live throughout the day. We'll also, of course, have a complete wrap-up today at 3 p.m. Eastern on The Breakdown, where I will be joined again by Terry Moran. For now, thanks for joining us. I'm Diane Macedo. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.